Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you are doing well. This is going to be part 2 of my makeup inventory for 2024. It is really early in the morning. I'm trying to squeeze this intro and outro in so I can edit and upload this video for today. In this video, we will be covering mostly bronzers, highlighters, and blush. I love these three things. They are my favorite to look at, my favorite to purchase, my favorite part of applying makeup. I do love those products and I do have a lot. Before we get into the inventory, I will be in big trouble with Liz if I don't mention that your task while watching this video is to look out for makeup with faces. This was something that started last year. At inventory time last year, I was really into things with faces. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, there's whole groups on Facebook of people posting pictures of faces that they see and things that are not faces, like blankets and purses and mops and things like that. Anyways, a friend of mine, Beauty Nook by Lauren, was also into things with faces at the same time, and she found faces in my makeup inventory and kept sharing them with me. And then I told Liz and Amber about it and we all had a good laugh. And so Liz told me we need to look out for makeup with faces again this year. It's something to do with the lighting in my dining room that casts eyeballs on my makeup. So anyways, keep an eye out for makeup with faces in these videos. According to Liz, she saw one in yesterday's video too. So I don't know. I didn't get a chance to see any faces in my makeup, but look out for makeup with faces. Anyways, if you would like to see what my current inventory of bronzers, highlighters, and blushes and palettes related to those three categories looks like, please keep watching. Alrighty guys, we are kicking off part 2 of my inventory with cream bronzers. I hope the lighting is okay. We got a lot of weird sunlight coming in from outside and I think it's causing shadows and stuff, so I don't know what's going on, but the show must go on. This is my cream bronzer inventory. I had 5 last year and I am down to 4. I used up a pretty big jar of a Laura Geller bronzer. I loved that bronzer. I was sad that I used it up, but I was also super happy that I used it up because it was old and it was shrinking because it had been sitting in my stash for so long, and I'm just really glad I was able to use it and enjoy it, but I'm sad it's gone. I'm currently working on this one right here. I put it in Project 10 Uses and I am going to find another project to put it in because I feel like it's going quickly and this will be a product I can move out of my inventory pretty quick. My ultimate plan is to get around to this guy this year. This is it was the Mascara Beauty. Mascara Beauty is now known as Saint Beauty. Oh, it's called Stone. This is the shade Stone from Saint Beauty. It's a little bit more cool tone than I prefer. I prefer a warmer bronzer, but this is the bronzer I've had the longest in my collection, I believe, at this point. So it's time to start working on it. I've been talking about it for years. I think 2024 is going to be the year that it happens. This, of course, is the Dose of Colors in collaboration with Desi and Katie lipstick in More Creamer Please. And I hated the way that looked on my lips, but I love it as a bronzer. This is an old Model Co. Cream bronzer stick. I used up one of these entirely. It came in an Ipsy bag, and then my friend Nicole sent me this one because she wasn't using it. And then this is, of course, from the brand Superface, which was sent to me for review from 0.8L, and I've been enjoying that quite a bit lately. So hopefully I can get this down to 3 by next year. I did spend a good chunk of 2023 hitting pan on some of the cream bronzers that I have in palettes, and that was very, very satisfying. And so at some point I need to get back to those and finish those off. But I'm happy to have pan in them. It was a lot of fun just hitting pan on cream bronzers last year. But I need to keep getting these numbers down because I have too many. Okay, this is a fun race against time because my cell phone is about to die, but these are my Depotted bronzer singles. I had 10 last year, I have 10 this year. It's the same 10. I haven't worked on these at all in the past year. I did have a big jump in my inventory from 7 to 10 2 years ago, not because I got new bronzers, but because some of these were sitting in my blush inventory before and I realized they're not blushes. So these are the same 10 I had last year. hopefully I can get around to working on one of these this year, but honestly, I've been working on a lot of bronzers that I have in face palettes to increase my pan percentage. So that's kind of where my focus has been for bronzers this past year is the bronzers that I have in palettes, which need love too. But it would be nice to get back to one of these at some point. We'll see. We'll see what I can squeeze in 2024. No promises. This is my inventory of bronzer singles or bronzer compacts. I had 24 in my inventory last year. This year I'm counting 23, not because I used one up, but because I realized one of them was actually a highlighter. It was a Becca product that was a deep highlighter, but I determined after finally using it in 2023 that it is more of a highlighter than a bronzer, so it's going to be moving over to that category. So this category did go down by one, but not because I used any up, just because one moved out. Really the only thing I did this year was hit pan on that bronzer single right there. That's a little sample of Chocolate Soleil by Too Faced. I've had it for quite a while. But other than that, I don't think I used any of these bronzers even in like Project 10 uses. Oh, actually, this little guy right here is currently in Project 10 uses, and that was a never used product for me before. So I am using that. But I spent most of last year working on a bronzer that was part of a duo bronzer highlight combination. So I didn't really work on any of these. I would like to get back to this one I hit pan on and see if I could finish it off in 2023 and move it out of my inventory altogether, especially since I have another one right there. Plus I have another one in my bronzer palette that I'll be talking about in just a minute. So I don't really need 3 of the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzers, even though I do quite like that bronzer and I think it's really good. I don't need 3 of them. So we will see if I can find a project to put that one in for 2024 and get this collection down by one more officially. This is my inventory of loose powder bronzers. There is no change. I had 5 last year. These are the same 5. I didn't touch any of these at all last year. I worked on the smallest container of Bare Minerals Warmth 2 years ago, the year before last, and I barely made a dent in it. I had to mix it with other powders that were lighter to even make it wearable because this is so dark on me. And so I thought I might get a chance to work on this again in 2023 and keep chipping away at it, but I never even got around to it at all. So these are the same 5 from last year's inventory. And for now, I don't have any plans to work on these. It would be great to roll one of these into a project at some point, maybe Project 10 uses if I can. But for now, there's no plans for any of them to go into a project. And I still have my one and only bronzer palette. I think it's arguable that this isn't an entire bronzer palette because I know most people use the Snow Bunny as more of a highlighter than a bronzer. But this is called a bronzer palette, so we're going to keep it in the bronzer category. The only change is that I did hit a new pan in 2023. I had this pan 2 years ago, and then last year I hit a pan in this Pink Leopard. They're both super duper tiny pans, but a pan is a pan. So it counts. I don't have any plans for this palette for this year at the moment. That could change. We will see. But yeah, one bronzer palette still. Okay, we are moving on to my highlighter inventory. These are my highlighter sticks. I decided to roll them all up for you this year so that we can all see the different shades. There's some that are more bronzy, some that are more golden, some that are a little bit more pinky, and one that is a little bit blurple. There's 7 here. These are the same 7 from last year. I haven't touched any of these in the past year at all. I've just been working on that shimmer palette from e.l.f. that I'll be talking about in a minute. And so For now, I don't have plans to put any of these in a project, but of course I will keep an eye out for an opportunity. I do have intentions to put this bronzer side of this Super Face stick in a project this year. So it would be great to work on the highlighter side, but if I don't get around to it, I don't get around to it. I do like highlighter sticks as a concept, but I do not need 7. So it would be great to use these up and move them on out. But we are still at 7 for now. Okay, up next is my inventory of liquid highlighters. No changes here either. I had 20 last year and I still have 20. I really didn't work on any of these in 2023 whatsoever. I have recently put this Charlotte Tilbury into my Panner's Pan project. I was just trying to remember which project it was. That, of course, is the newest cream highlight to enter my inventory. So I would love to get to some of these older ones soon, but I don't feel like I could work on a liquid highlight, a cream highlight, and a powder highlight on a daily basis. So I've been focusing on my cream highlights for the last couple of years, and that's why this category basically hasn't been touched very much. But we are still at 20. At least it didn't go up at all. So that's good. Up next are my cream highlighters. I use these the same way I use my liquid highlighters that I talked about in the last clip. So I only work on one of these products from one of these categories at a time. I'm really not using a liquid highlighter and a cream highlighter on my face at the same time ever. And right now, for the last year, I've been working on this right here. This is my e.l.f. Shimmer Palette. I was really hoping it would not be in my inventory for this year, but it is. I managed to finish 3 and hit pan on the last of the 4 shades that were in this. I really enjoy this. I don't think e.l.f. sells this anymore. I checked on their website not too long ago to see what kind of products they have. And basically none of the e.l.f. products I personally own are still even on their website. That's how old everything I own is getting. But this should be out of my inventory in the next couple of months. I am using this almost every day and I really enjoy it. A lot of these are pretty brand new, or not brand new because I've had them for years, but there hasn't been a lot of usage to most of these. But I do have pan on this Stila. This was in my 50 Shades of Purple, I think. This was in some project and I hit pan down there, and I'm really close to hitting pan on this cream highlight. But the cream highlight that I plan to work on next is going to be this guy right here. This is my old Mascara Beauty highlighter. It used to be called Saint Beauty, or it's called Saint Beauty now. It used to be Mascara Beauty. And this is the shade Honey. I don't know if this is the best color match for me. Probably a little bit better in the summer than it is in the winter, but I think I'll be able to make it work. Either way, I need to get it panned because I've had it for a long time. I don't think it's the oldest cream highlight in my collection. I think the oldest cream highlight in my collection might be either this old Almay cream highlight, this MAC cream highlight, or this like all-in-one cream product from Sally Hansen. Eye, cheek, and lip color. I would not be putting this on my eyes or my lips at this point. I have tried this on my eyes and my lips. At this point, it is too old for me to feel comfortable putting it on my lips and possibly ingesting it. And it doesn't dry down, so it creases on my eyelids, but I would consider wearing it on my cheeks. So this would be another one to get to soon because it's old. But there has been no change to my inventory for this category. I had 19 last year. I still have 19. Luckily, nothing new came in, so the number didn't go up, but unfortunately, nothing went out of this inventory because I wasn't able to finish this palette last year. So the number is still at 19. Okay, here are my loose highlighters. I know I am trying to open up all these containers so you guys can get a sneak peek inside, but I started to open these up and I was like, nope, we are not going to have to wash this white blanket after I filmed this little clip. So we are keeping them closed because loose highlight is messy. But there has been no change since last year with this category. I had 9 last year. I still have 9, and I really didn't touch these at all in the past 12 months. I was working on one of these 2 years ago. I can't remember which one, but one of these smaller ones. I think it was this one, but I'm not sure. But I barely made a dent in it. I was mixing it with Bare Minerals Warmth because that is a pretty deep bronzer for my skin tone. So it wasn't going quickly, and I've been working on pressed powder highlighters all 2023. So no change to this inventory, and at this moment I don't have plans to put any of these into a project, but you never know where the year will take me. You know, hopefully, fingers crossed, I will get a chance to enjoy some of these products in the next year. That would be great. Even if it's just in Project 10 uses, you never know. But we're still at 9. Okay, up next are my highlighter singles, my individual highlighters, my highlighter compacts. The number went up by 1, but I can explain, you guys. I can explain 2 items that I had in other parts of my inventory were moved into this category over the past year, and I did finally use up 1 highlighter. Oh my gosh, it took 3 years, and it was just a deluxe sample. I have no words. Another shout out moment regarding my highlighter singles is that this might be the first year since I started doing inventories in 2017 that I did not purchase a single highlighter in a 12-month time frame. I would like to say that is all due to my amazing self-control, but it's not. It's probably more so due to the fact that Becca is no longer selling and releasing amazing highlighters. So not amazing self-control, just no more Becca. I did open up all of these compacts so you guys could take a peek as to what I have. As far as changes from last year, this highlighter was one that moved in. I previously had this in my bronzer inventory, and after last year's inventory, actually, a couple of you guys were like, psst, Paula, that's a highlighter, not a bronzer. And so I put it in Project 10 Uses and confirmed that you're right. It is a highlighter and not a bronzer. What else? I hit pan on this highlighter in the last year. You could barely see it, but it's there. Tiny pan. And this little highlighter moved into this inventory because now that I used up the bronzer part of this duo, it is now just a highlighter single by definition. I would love to depot this and move it into my magnetic palette so that I can get rid of this packaging. However, I have no room in my magnetic palettes at the moment, so that's not possible, but we will see. I am currently working on these 2 highlighters right here. Neither of them are your traditional like champagne shade that I tend to prefer, but I've been enjoying both of them. This is Don't Flutter Yourself from Wet n Wild. I did have this in my highlighter inventory, right? I need to double check that. Either way, it's going in my highlighter inventory now. This might have at one point been in my blush inventory, but it's not a blush, it's a highlighter. And this is Purple Ashes, also from Wet n Wild. It doesn't look like it would be a pretty highlighter, but it's not too shabby. It's a little bit bright, believe it or not. It's pretty bright, and that a bluish purplish highlight does show up on my face, but I feel like I can wear it. So my goal is to hit pan on this. I'll be working on that very soon. And I've been working on wearing away the little hummingbird pattern on this guy right here. I'm getting there. I feel like I got to work on those wings a little bit more. Oh, see, when I tip it down, that's when you could really see him. But when I look at him this way, I'm like, oh, he's gone. And then I tip it down, I'm like, oh, there he is. It's a tricky thing. But that's what I've been wearing from day to day. is this highlighter right here. At this particular moment in time, I do not have plans for any of these other highlighters, but not gonna lie, panning one of these is extremely intimidating to me, and if I was really trying to get my numbers down, I would probably pick one of these down here to work on next because they have the tiniest amount of product. But like I said, none of them are slated to be in a project yet. We will see. So my highlighter inventory went from 55 to 56 over the past year. It went up by one, but I did not purchase a single highlighter in the year of 2023, and I'm a little bit proud of myself and a little bit relieved that Becca was not around to seduce me once again. Okay, hopping back on really quickly because this was definitely in my blush inventory last year, so then I had to refigure how did I end up with the number of 56 if 3 products actually moved into this category, and I realized that 2 products moved out of this category last year. The highlighter that I finished plus a Laura Geller highlighter, well, a Laura Geller product that I ended up moving into my foundation inventory at some point this year. So 2 moved out, 3 moved in. I went from 55 to 56. I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's what happened. I guess I determined at some point in the past year that Laura Geller product was actually more of a foundation powder than a highlighting powder. I think it was described as an illumination foundation, and that's where the confusion came in. So it is now in my foundation inventory instead of this. So 2 moved out, 3 moved in. I went from 55 to 56. There you go. Here are my highlighter palettes. These are palettes that contain only highlighters. Is that really a highlighter on me? I don't know, but it is technically a highlighter. These are the same 11 I had last year. I have not touched any of these in the past 12 months. You can imagine that if I'm describing panning a highlighter single as intimidating, trying to pan one of these literally scares the crap out of me. I'm terrified. This one has never been used. This is an old Smashbox palette. And if you look, can you see? No. If you look, you could still see the grain on every one of these pans from when it was stamped in there. I really should put this in Project 10 uses or something. I should use it once. This is an old Fiona Styles palette that's been used a little, but not much. I also have my ABH glow kits. I only have 2. This is the Sugar glow kit, and that is the Moonchild glow kit. I have this Wet n Wild holiday release. This is Cover FX. This is Laura Geller. This is Makeup Geek. This is Bobbi Brown. This is Sleek. And this is Makeup Mecca, which was kindly gifted to me from another project panner who lives over in Norway, Finland, one of those countries where Makeup Mecca is a huge brand. As of right now, I don't have plans to put any of these in a project for 2024, but as always, I am hopeful that that might change. Out of all of these palettes, the only one with any actual use is a Sleek one. I have pan up here in this corner right there. You could barely see it. This pan right here is not real pan. It's not yet counted as a palette in my pan percentage because I took that chunk out and made an eyeshadow with it. So really, that's not real pan. That's fake pan. But yeah, hopefully I can get around to using some of these in a project, even if it's just Project 10 uses this year, but I am still at 11. Up next are my depotted blush singles. I can't explain why, but I love these. I love these singles so very much. They are really old. I've had them forever, but looking at them makes me so very happy. I don't know why, but I just love them. There has been no change to this at all, though. I had 48 at last year's inventory. I had 48. I still had 48. I don't think I worked on any of these at all. I would love to put one in a project. What I would love to do is put one of these that already have pan in a project, but this one is very, very similar to a blush I'm already panning in shade and finish, so I can't do that. And these two I'm not really attracted to at the moment. What I really want to pan is this one because I'm completely obsessed with Milani's Luminoso, and I think that is not an exact dupe, but close enough that I think it would give me some of the same joys that Milani brings me. But that is a brand new, never used before pan of blush. It's going to take me 2 years to pan that, maybe 3. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe this one, which is I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is anymore. That one might work. I don't know. I'm definitely craving a peachy blush most days these days. So whatever I put in a project this year is going to have to be peachy. But these are the same 48 depotted singles that I had last year. There's been no change. All right, here are my cream blushes. This number was at 47 last year and it went up by 2. Yeah, it's now, at this moment, my number is 49. Yikes. The 2 new ones are down here. This Moira, I think it's Moira brand liquid blush was gifted to me for my birthday by my friend Jamie. And this is a liquid lipstick from Charlotte Tilbury in the shade Dolly that I made a decision this year that I am never, ever, ever going to put on my lips because I don't like the way it feels, but it makes for a wonderful cream blush and I enjoyed it very much for that purpose. So that is how I'm going to be using it. So it had to be moved to this category. The cream blush that I've been working on for over 3 years now is this guy right here. This is my Maybelline Dream Bouncy Blush in Peach Satin. This is going to be the first time that you will have seen it moved to the center. I did finally take everyone's advice and scrape the product that was sitting around the edges and plop it all in the center. And that has been working out beautifully. So thank you to everyone who gave me that suggestion. It has been lovely. I just had to do it. I am guessing that I have about 2 months worth of product left before that's an empty. And once that's gone, I will be moving on to this right here. This is a formerly Mascara Beauty cream blush, which is now known as Saint Beauty, and it is in the shade Desert Sunset. It is a pretty dusty pink. It's a lot more muted than the blush that I'm currently working on. And I'm hopeful that, well, I'm not hopeful I'll be able to pan it quickly because I don't want to just like slap it all on my face, but I'm hoping that it'll take me less than 3 years to pan if it's a more wearable color. I'd be fine with 2. A little bit goes a very long way with this Maybelline Dream Bouncy blush. So I haven't been able to over apply at all because things get crazy. Of course, I do almost always layer a powder blush on top of whatever cream blush I'm wearing. But yeah, I don't want to go ham on a cream blush. So that's what's going on over here. This number did go up by 2 from 47 to 49. Hopefully it won't go up again, but as I am going through and testing out the liquid lipsticks I own, if I do not like the way they feel on my lips, I am trying them on my cheeks to see if I can use them in that way before I declutter them. So it is possible, I suppose, that this category might go up. Hopefully it doesn't, but I'm just warning you. Anything can happen. So, yeah. This is my inventory of cream blushes. Here are my loose blush powders. I had 13 last year. I still have 13. I didn't touch any of these in the past year. Too many blushes, not enough time. What did I work on last year? I don't know. I don't know what I worked on last year. I think I worked on a blush that was in a blush palette for a good chunk of time. I put a lot of blushes in Project 10 Uses, which I like to do because I have so much blush. But yeah, I didn't really finish anything last year, I don't think. No, I don't think I did. Should I put one of these in a project this year? I do have a project coming up where I could put one of these in it. Oh, it's scary. These loose powders scare me, you guys. This might be a decent dupe for Milani Luminoso. It doesn't look very shimmery though, but it does have a lot of that peachiness to it. I would flip it over to see what it's called, but the lid's off. At this moment in time, I don't have plans for any of these to be in a project, but anything can happen. You guys know that. So we are still at the same 13 that we were at last year. One day in the future, far, far away, I hope that all of my blush singles will fit into one post, but we are not there yet, and we are nowhere near there yet. So for now, I've divided my blushes up into 3 separate posts. This group right here are all of my matte blush singles. There are 44 here now. There has been 44 here forever. This has not changed in years and years and years. And honestly, I haven't really worked on any of these in the past year, and I can't say why for any reason or another. I just haven't reached for any of these. They're all good blushes. I like them all. There's nothing wrong with them. Well, I don't love that one, but that's another story. But that being said, I haven't worked on any of these in the past year. It would be great to get some of them in a project, but I only have 2 cheeks and I got a lot of blush. So I don't know when that's going to happen. This one is always on my mind because I feel like there's 3 times the packaging for 1/3 the product. I did attempt to depot this at one point and didn't get anywhere, but this is a pretty specific shade. I wonder if I'd prefer to use this as a bronzer instead of a blush. I should really put this in Project 10 Uses and see what I think about this product, because this one always catches my eye as far as the packaging. Yeah, this is where we're at as far as matte blushes. There's 44, same 44 from last year. This second post of my blush singles are my pink shimmer blushes. I only have 17 in this category. These are the same 17 I had last year. The reason for this being a relatively smaller category, still a lot of blush, but relatively smaller to the rest of them, is that in general, pink blush is not my preferred color. I prefer a peachier blush or a mauvier blush or a more neutral blush, but I do like these nonetheless, and I think they are special. I am currently working on this blush right here in my Panner's Pan project. This was a gorgeous rose that I am attempting to use up. It's taking forever. I knew it would though. And it is definitely looking more well-loved than it was at last year's inventory. I think I also had a chance to work on this blush and this blush in Project 10 Uses over the past year, which is great. A few blushes got some more love than otherwise. But I don't think the rest of these were touched at all. My goal for this blush is to hit pan on it. And although that's a lot less work than finishing a blush, I think it's going to take me a long time to get there. So at this point in time, I don't have plans to work on the rest of these at all this year. I just want to focus on this one. As far as my pink blushes go, I would like to put a peachy blush in a project as well for those days when I don't want to wear pink. But none of these I am anticipating working on this year. So we are still at 17. Isn't it beautiful? I know it's a lot. I know it is a lot. You're not wrong, but it's so beautiful. This is the final inventory of my blush singles, my blush compacts. We are not done with blush. We have a lot more blush to go through, but this is it for my blush singles. These are my category of warm or neutral blushes. And I had 60 last year. I have 60 this year. There has been a change. I decided to move my Wet n Wild blush of Don't Flutter Yourself was in this inventory last year, and I have decided to officially move it to my highlighter inventory. It says blush on the package, but the truth is I use it like a highlighter, and I like to put my products in the category that I use them as, not necessarily as they're labeled as. And so that one went out of this category, and then this Balm Desert from the Balm came back. This has been at my mom's house since 2018. I went through my inventory. The last time this was present and accounted for in my inventory was January of 2018, and by January of 2019 it was gone. So this has been at my mom's house for a few years, and she gave it back to me in the last couple months and said it didn't work out for her. She was looking for a specific type of blush. I gave her a bunch to choose, and she's been testing them out. I think the one that she likes the most for what she was going for has been Milani's Romantic Rose. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, this was one of the blushes she borrowed to test out, and she gave it back. This is why I never really give myself points when my makeup goes to my mom's house, because I know that there's a good chance that at some point it's going to come back to me. So I don't think I ever gave myself points for this going out, but that's okay because it's back. So no harm, no foul. Besides, it went out before I started my low buy, so I wasn't using a point system back then. Now that I'm looking at all of these blushes opened again, I am reminded of a conversation that I had after last year's inventory, which is that this is not a blush. I'm pretty sure Amber pulled me aside to tell me that this is a highlighter and not a blush, which I believe, but I never moved it, and I've already finished my highlighter inventory for this year. So these are going to stay here. This is going to stay here for one more year, but I want to get that in Project 10 uses to test it out for myself. And then as I'm looking at more of these blushes, I'm seeing other things I would like to test out, like this. Oops. This Revlon one. I am not sure if that's a blush or a highlighter. It says highlighting palette. I should test it out and see if it's a highlighter or a blush. This is called, as I was opening this is from number 7, and I think it's called a bronzer palette. Limited edition bronzer shimmer palette. So I need to test that out. So that's 3 that might not belong. And then this Maybelline one. I need to see if that's a blush or a highlighter, because I could see that one going either way too. This is the Master Highlight Face Studio in the shade Nude. So maybe that's a blush, maybe that's a highlighter. But those 4 products really need to find their way into Project 10 uses this year. Sorry, I gotta fix this. And if they do fit better into a separate category, like bronzer or highlighter, I would like to get them moved to that category before next year's inventory. This one also is a big question mark. This is a Bobbi Brown Shimmer Brick. It's in the shade Bronze. Not sure how I'm going to use that, but there's nothing about it that really looks like a blush to me. And I don't know how I ended up with it in my blush inventory. Probably because I wanted to keep the two shimmer bricks together. And this one right here, which is in the shade Lilac Rose. Yeah. Lilac Rose definitely looks like a blush to me. But there's definitely some things I need to look into from this inventory, which would be fine. 60 is the amount of products I have, which is way, way, way too high. And if these fit better in other categories, I would rather have them in those categories that they belong in. Part of doing my inventory is taking account of what I have, and part of doing my inventory is all about getting to know these individual products better and figuring out how they work for me, how I like them, and what they are. So I suspect that some of these do not belong here and need to be moved elsewhere, and I need to make that my mission. So I'm putting it out there in the ether right now, and hopefully it'll happen this year. At this moment in time, none of these blushes are currently in a project. If you were watching some of my videos last year, you know that I put this blush, Milani Luminoso, in Deck of Panning for the last couple months of that project, and I haven't been able to stop using it. Even after the project ended on December 20th, I kept this in the bathroom, and I use it 2 or 3 times a week, and I am completely obsessed with this blush. I've had it for years, and I've used it a lot. It used to be a bit more domed than it is now, but I just can't put it down. Every time I think I can quit it, I realize I can't. And so as I was laying out all these blushes, I was kind of looking for dupes. This shade from Lorac in the shade Plush is probably the closest one to it. They are very, very, very similar. This Maybelline Masterclass in Coral looks very close. And I would say that the next closest might be Papa Don't Peach or one of these two Cargo blushes if they are mixed together. I'm not sure. This one is a little bit brighter. This is Glisten, but it might not be too far off. Anyways, I was just kind of looking through to see what dupes I had. This one from CoverGirl might be in the ballpark. That's in the shade Peach Perfection. Part of why I'm looking for dupes is to see if I want to pan one of them, and part of why I'm looking for dupes is to remind myself that if I should go ahead and pan this Milani Luminoso, I do not necessarily need to race out and buy another one, because I have very similar blushes already within my stash, and I will survive without Milani Luminoso. I do think that is the original formula, and then they changed the formula. I could be wrong, but I remember hearing something about formula changes with that at some point. But this is my inventory of warm shimmer blushes, and I am at 60. And they are beautiful. Here are my blush palettes. There's 6. They're the same 6. There's been no change. I did get a chance to work on this one from Makeup Revolution a little bit last year. I've been trying to finish that blush right there for what feels like forever. It's probably been a total of about a year and a half or 2 years of working on it. And I was kind of hoping I could finish it off this past year, but it's going just as slow as it has this whole time I've been panning it. It is a very hard pressed blush, and it's a pretty pigmented blush. It looks kind of tan there, but it's actually a pretty mauve-y shade in real life. And yeah, I wasn't able to finish it off in 2023, but I did work on it. I was really, really close to putting this in Pan and Every palette, or Partners in Cream. I can't remember which project, but it never quite made it. I did get a chance to test out this shade down here. I thought it might be a cream bronzer, but nope, it's a blush. And the other 4 palettes didn't get used at all in the past year. I am, with my obsession with Milani Luminoso, I'm kind of obsessed with looking at this palette right now and wondering if I could get some Luminoso vibes from this palette. But yeah, I don't think I've ever used that palette even once. And that's everything. I got my Becca, I have e.l.f., Too Faced, Makeup Revolution, and the Balm. So no changes. All right, we've made it to the last post for this video. This is my collection of what I call face palettes in this inventory. These are palettes that every product belongs on the face. There's no eyeshadows, but there's a mix of 2 or more categories. So blush, bronzer, highlight, setting powder and highlight, bronzer and contour, bronzer and highlight, whatever. There's a mix of 2 or more categories in every one of these palettes. So these are just what I call face palettes. Last year I had 24, and this year I have 23, which is super duper exciting. I did not completely finish a palette, but I did finish the bronzer of my Ulta Beauty Duo, and so that little duo ended up moving to my highlighter inventory because now all I have is a highlighter single. So that is 1 less face palette and 1 more highlighter single. But I'm happy to see this category go down. Currently, the only palette I'm working on is this one right here. This is a Sephora palette called The Beauty of Giving Back. That is in Pan in Every Palette. In 2023, I did hit a couple of new pans, both in my cream bronzers. This is an e.l.f. palette, and this is a Tarte palette, so that is pretty encouraging. I enjoyed both of those bronzers a lot, and I do look forward to getting back to them in the future, but for now, I'm not working on them. I have moved on to something else. At last year's inventory, this shadow was broken, and I have managed to repress it, so that is intact again, although it has seen better days. I would love to get that in a project at some point. This is one of Becca's first palettes. It's called the Afterglow. They came out with another palette very, very similar to this a couple years later, but I think that's the first one. And yeah, other than that, there's my little Hourglass palette. Other than that, there's nothing really calling my name at the moment. I'm just really getting started on this palette, so I'm looking forward to diving into it and getting to know it a lot better. The pan I'm working on is the bronzer officially, but if I can get a chance to use any of the other shadows or any of the other powders in this palette while I'm working on this bronzer, that would be really cool, and I would be very happy to do that. So that is where we were at with my face palettes. We've gone from 24 to 23. All right, that is a wrap for part 2 of my makeup inventory. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's video, which will cover eyes. Are we starting eyes? We are starting eyes in part 3. See you tomorrow. Bye.